Releasing in Australian cinemas on the 8th of April, it's a new Australian film called Tennessine. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the co-writer and director of Tennessine, Amin Palangi, and the co-writer and lead actor, Osamah Sami. Welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having us.
Great to talk
Thank
to you
you.
both. And this is such an intriguing film. What was the inspiration behind it?
Um, the inspiration behind the film is about, I guess, portrayal of how displacement and migration affects a relationship, affects love and sense of belonging and identity for all characters in the film, in fact. And it is based on a series of real events that happens to many migrants, particularly when they sort of travel alone and come to a land that culturally is perhaps different to their own, and get, I guess, introduced to new values, new ideas of how their life can be, and then question their own identity and how they're going to fit in this new land. Osama, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I've known Amin for a couple of decades now, and Amin and I share similar story sensibilities and our outlook in the world. We're both migrants. We both came to Australia from Iran, and we wanted to work together. We wanted to tell a story that reflects the side that you one of the sides that we don't often talk about, which is how relationships are affected um, through migration in terms of the different generations of migrants. So Nazanin is that's the heroine in the film. She's been here for a little while. And then, of course, Robert Rabai's character, Nasser, the lecturer, he's been here even longer, and Arash is a freshie. So it's looking at the intergenerational challenges that people face when they come here. It's not as, they come here and it's all great and green and amazing, but of course, as we know, that's not always the case.
And that's what I found so interesting about the film. It had that cultural, political. It had a lot of undertones to the story, and especially with this romance, which is part of the story, and how that plays out. And I found that so interesting, the way you plotted the story to bring that about.
Yeah, I mean the great thing about the when you collaborate with someone as thoughtful as Amin is you can bounce ideas, and that we I said we've got similar sort of story sensibilities, but the way we work is very different as well. Amin's
That's true.
he's
Yeah.
he's he paints, he's very talented sort of picture wise, and so we complement each other on the way we wanted to tell the story. But he wrote a short film a few years ago. I don't know why I'm speaking on your behalf, I mean, but that's
You like doing that.
but it formed sort of the basis for this film, and then we of course expanded it into the feature film with a bit more development and fleshing out the characters, and just putting ourselves in the shoes of someone who comes into Australia, is severely jet lagged, and in his mind starts to unravel about like the values that Amin was talking about. He no longer feels like he feels a bit dislocated. Not only is he isolated because of the natural the place that we go to, but he's also beginning to unravel internally.
Okay.
Yes, and there's yes, I mean, as Osama mentioned, I mean, the Tennessine is quite different to the short film now. It started with that in inspiration, But I guess we are also sort of looking at what our main character Arash is feeling, and is torn between his family values, obligations, as well as the love that he feels for this for Nazanin, the woman or the main female lead of the film.
I
And
guess we want.
it's through it's
Sorry.
through those sort of conflicted or difficulties of showing, how do you make that choice, and to showcase that, like, when you're traveling, when you're migrating elsewhere, those ties do not just cut off, and then you're not just like suddenly ready to move on or ready to immerse yourself. You need to go through those questions and personal challenges as well.
And what I also find so interesting is Iran, of course, would be a very difficult place to make a film like this, because there is, I know, censorship and all sorts of issues. So being able to make this film in Australia, which is so important to tell that story, was it easy to get production behind you to be able to make the film?
I mean, yes, I mean, this story also wouldn't really make much sense in Australia, in Iran, sorry.
Right.
It is an Australian story in that sense, and it's something that happens to not just the Iranian migrants, but to most migrants. I feel it's told from an Iranian perspective because of our backgrounds, and so we sort of chosen that. But in terms of getting production support, we were lucky to have Breathless Films support the project. We presented the idea to them, and they came on board as co-producers with us, and we went into production. It is a micro-budget film. It's something that's driven by a lot of passion and dedication of a crew that both Osamah and I knew from previous experiences and had, I guess, collaborations with. Like, the film is shot and edited by the same cinematographer and editor of the short film. So there's been long relationships that have also helped with the development of the story visually. It's composed by an Iranian artist, Hamid Sadavi, who's quite known now with his music and is on tour. So there are sort of a group of passionate collaborators that have come together to make this a possibility. Yeah.
I did ask, I mean,
Right.
if we could make the story told, Arash could be an Iraqi. I've got Iraqi bloodlines as well. And he said, no, let's stick with the So don't listen
Yes,
to it. Says it just happens to be the Iranian.
just
It was
happens to be right. That's true. Well, I guess it's an era of being authentic, and I guess it's true. I mean, I understand. Fortunately, Osamah has lived in Iran and speaks Persian. I was born in Iran, actually, and obviously has the Iraqi heritage as well. But because I didn't, it just made more sense for both of us to sort of, I guess, tap into that. In fact, one difference in the film and the short was to have the both of us being male. I guess it's obvious for us to sort of choose a male lead. But through that, there were other ideas and interesting themes around migration and why having a male lead. And what I was talking about, like family duties, there was also elements of toxic masculinity, a sense of control, what it means to be a man within, I guess, Iranian culture, and in Australia as well. Like, I find there is a lot of questions around masculinity in the film, and acceptance of change, acceptance of lack of control in a relationship, and that I think we're also exploring in the story. That I think it transcends the cultural barriers. In fact, it's more of a universal theme.
Absolutely agree, and I felt that as I was watching the film, that sort of issue of male toxicity and so on. That's certainly there. So apart from Osamah, you being the lead actor, and of course you're a natural to be the lead actor, tell me about casting Faiza and Robert and so on in the cast.
The casting process happened. I mean, this is a film developed during COVID. In fact, Osama and I used to meet on Zoom like this almost every day and talk about the story and look at drafts and discuss different matters and areas. And the casting process happened similarly. With obviously, Osama and I know each other for over 16 years now, and this was, it was an opportunity for us to work together in this capacity. So I was very excited about having this opportunity to work with him. But we knew that one important aspect of the story is the casting of Faiza Alavi, the female lead, and we we did a call out. We held series of auditions on Zoom, and I feel very lucky that we managed to find her. She hasn't really done a feature film in Australia or performed, so this is sort of her break, if you like, into the industry in this manner. But also, she carried this level of spontaneity and spark that was quite captivating. And so, yeah, I feel very lucky that we found him. I think Robert, actually, I believe it was through Osama that Robert engaged with us. So I'm going to let Osama tell us how that happened.
Yeah, Robert Rabai, he's been a veteran of the screen for a long time, and I worked with him on Ali's Wedding years and years ago. And we thought, because the character of Nasser was also written in a different way as well, and he was supposed to be an Iranian lecturer, and then we just talked about just thinking a bit differently. And Robert has such great screen presence and charisma, and he can play that dual sort of character where you're questioning him, and he sort of naturally brings that. And we sent him the script, and then he was on board from then.
Yeah,
well done.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly brought a lot of gravity to Nasser's character, which I really enjoyed watching on screen, particularly in scenes where the three of the characters are on, or the almost a sense of rivalry, I guess, that exists between Osama's character and Robert's character on screen. I thought he was really instrumental in portraying that.
Yes, yes. Okay, everyone works so well together, and I was intrigued. Tell me about locations that you use, in particular that cabin, and how quickly you shot the film, because I gather it was done with, as you say, limited budget, so you wouldn't have had a great deal of time to shoot.
We did not. The cabin, actually, it belonged to a friend of mine. It's a place that I spent many sort of holidays in. So the idea of the short film was also written and shot in the same place. So we were fortunate to have access to this space. The reason of choosing this farm was two things. One is that it's quite a beautiful space, and how this beauty can also be haunting to a stranger, and add to I guess the second reason was that it was so removed that it was adding to the sense of isolation and dislocation that the main character feels. We had about 3 weeks of shooting time. So the film was sort of shot quite quickly, and with many pages being covered on the same and each day. Yeah, so it's pretty fast. But we spent, as a result, we grew very close together. We spent a few weeks, in this farm, which is sort of somewhere between Canberra and Sydney, and we had fun memories, sleepless nights, but a lot of fun memories. Yeah.
Well, the actors work so well together. I was wondering if there was some rehearsal time built in, and getting the relationships and everyone sort of ready to go.
Yeah, well, as you know, Peter, you've watched many films and shows. You know that if it all starts with the sort of chemistry, or if you're buying the relationships. If you don't buy that these two people were together, are together, should be together, then the whole thing falls apart. Doesn't matter how big a name they are and how slick the script is. So that was, you know, in the casting phase when we got Fafa, her and I immediately connected just through her. You know, she works so well, sort of against and with Arash's character, my character. And then yeah, we held rehearsals with Robert and with Fafa as well. And but you know, Amin didn't want us to over rehearse because he still wanted that sense of spontaneity in that you get in film, that magic, that when it's action and then, you know, the actors come up with something there and then you can tweak it for the next take. But we did a lot of character sort of history work and things that actors do, that stuff that we just love doing, and so we can justify our paychecks, basically just doing you know, old storylines, and you know, where we grew up, what our favorite food was, when did, you know, her mum, when was the last fight she had with her mum, when did I, you know, have her over at mine the last time. And Amin and I have known Fafa for a bit as well, not as close as once we got to work with her, but it was really easy to she was really easy to work with. And then, like I said, once you have that chemistry, which is not something, to be honest, as an actor you can build, it's almost got to be there. That's why casting and everything else is so important. And from then, when you buy those relationships, and even her relationship with Nasser, then I think then, you know, you're invested in their journey.
Definitely,
Yes, I
yes.
think we had we were, as I just want to reiterate what Osama said, that we were very lucky to have this connection. And when I look back, I feel quite blessed with the cast and the team, because, you know, as I mentioned, we had such limited budget and time, and the film is born out of their passion for the project as well, and interest, because they were all really giving to the film at different stages, of course. Yeah, so I want to thank them all. Yeah.
Oh, very good. For me, it's always about the story. It's not about the budget. So if you have a good story and good cast, then as you have in Tennessine, then it all comes together really well. Something intrigues me. I know that Tennessine is a chemical element. I'm interested to know why you call the film Tennessine.
So there is a line in the film where Arash tells Nazanin that he gives her a nickname, Tennessine, which is a chemical element, which is a highly volatile, sort of explosive element. And he says it sort of endearingly, but also then there are references to other things, like when he tells her, you know, Nasser, he's like lodestone, which is it's a mineral used to make a compass. It was born out of my sort of nerdiness and taking chemistry. Uh, I did chemistry, so and I never got to use it as a. I never played a character that was in did chemistry. I never wrote anything that had anything to do with chemistry. But I just felt Arash, he strikes me as the kind of guy who is, you know, that's where you know, he's on that highway of science, and that's how his brain works. And also he's a bit more, you know, logical in the way he tries to make sense of things, which doesn't always work in the real world, where um, especially when emotions get involved. And so that's where Tennessine, the idea of Tennessine, came from.
Yeah, and I think you know, for me also, it was a soothing title, because I guess going back to Arash's character, I find him to be quite idealistic and coming from a world that, you know, he's looking for symbolism and metaphors in his life, and so to find nicknames for situations like it helps him to understand them and accept them. Because I think one thing that really drives him is, or a big challenge for him, internal challenges, is his idealism of how things perhaps could be or should be, and how he's presented with a reality that differs from that throughout the film.
All sounds good to me, because that explains it really well, and it's great to have a title that make people think as well. And I obviously missed that line in the film, so there you go. So well done on on that Tennessine. Now I know the film I think premiered at the Sydney Film Festival, if I'm not mistaken, and also the film has received an Australian Directors Guild nomination for Best Direction for a film under $1 million, which is fantastic. So tell me about the reactions that you're getting, especially from audiences, and what you're anticipating when the film is released on the 8th of April.
Well, the reactions, I mean, people don't tell the filmmakers the truth. Most people really enjoyed it, so I can't trust that. But I mean, we were named as, we received a couple of recognitions. At Sydney Film Festival, we were one of the 5 must-see films, Australian films, at the festival. So we've been recognized by the media in that way, and the nomination for Best Direction from ADG was enormous compliment and an honor. But yes, so far we've had really good feedback. We had another screening at Cinefest Oz, which we had a very engaging. Both Osamah and I were there, and we had a very engaging Q&A. So far it's been really good. We're hoping that we are lucky to have Umbrella Entertainment distributing the film, and we're hoping that we can engage audiences in throughout our release. We're hosting Q&As in each city, which we will attend throughout the week, one in each city. So it will be a busy itinerary for us, but one that also we're very excited about sharing the film with audiences in theaters where we believe the film should be seen.
Absolutely. And I know how important promotion and marketing and so on, getting the word out about a film is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to make a film, which is fantastic, and I'm so glad you made Tennessine, but also to get the word out is so important. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you for having us, and just talking
yes,
about
absolutely.
film. It was very exciting.
Pleasure. And just to conclude, I wanted to ask you both, perhaps I'll start with Amin. Are you working on another film at the moment?
Yes, of course. I mean, I've had projects that have started before Tennessine, and one that I'm developing now. Sam and I are also, collaborating on something else together. So we have more films in the pipeline. Yeah.
Excellent. And Osamah, you've mentioned Ali's Wedding. You've been in a number of films, The Furnace, Shader. I remember seeing you in that in a role in that film, which was a lovely film, which should have got more recognition, but that's another story. So, Osamah, for you, are you also looking at other acting roles at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still sort of in the final phases of sort of the push for my TV show House of Gods, which is on the BBC right now, and I think episode 6 airs this Sunday. So, and that's the season finale. So, I'm still in that sort of on that train at the moment, and yeah, and we just got back from Europe, from Lille. We were up at Series Mania. So so right now my headspace is with House of God's last episode, and then Tennessine, of course, immediately after that. And then yeah, as Amin said, he and I are collaborating on a feature film, and I'm doing a theatre show at the Melbourne Theatre Company in June. So I'm starting to get the itch to go on stage again.
Excellent news, and I'm so glad you're both busy and both planning new films and all sorts of things happening for you both. Terrific. We've been speaking to Amin Palangi, who is the co-writer and director of Tennessine, and co-writer and lead actor of Tennessine, Osamah Sami. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks very much.
All the best. Bye-bye.